Welcome back to the stream. So, Overwatch League stage number 3 is done. Finals were yesterday. It was not a day filled with close matches. I thought that the matches were good though. They told us a lot of things. It was very educational, I guess I would just say, overall. So, now that stage 3 is over, obviously we're going to have a new map pool. We're going to have some changes, like patch-wise. In stage 4, Brigitte is going to be available to play for Overwatch League teams. So, we'll see what that does to the meta. We got... I'm trying to think of other changes. The May buff is in. The Reaper buff is in. Will those change a whole lot? Don't think so. Reaper and May will still get used in the limited spots where they get used, but I don't think that their pick rates will go up too much. I think the biggest thing that's going to change hero pick rates and stuff like that is Brigitte being introduced and the new map pool. So I'm gonna look at I'm gonna try to look up the map pool if they've released it yet and go through that a little bit. But so we had, of course, LA Gladiators taking that final spot at number 4 for the stage playoff. We had the Valiant stay at number 3. We had the New York Excelsior at number 2, and then Boston Uprising had the 10-0. They had their big old win streak, 14 matches, I believe. Yeah, 14 matches. So, I mean, the regular season streak is still going, 14 matches in a row. So, a lot of the narrative, and I talked about this a little bit before, in like weeks before, I think in early stage 3, sometimes the narrative that the casters and analysts try to push for Overwatch League annoys me. And the narrative they were trying to push this whole time where, oh, Boston went 10-0, they have this big win streak, they're the strongest team in the league. No. Boston was never... listen to me very closely right now. Boston was never the best team in the league. They are never going to be the best team in the league for year 1. We'll see. Obviously, we'll see what roster changes happen in year 2. This team is not better than New York. They cannot surpass New York this season. I think there's only one team in the entire Overwatch League that can surpass New York this season, and that's the London Spitfire. Do not buy into the Boston hype. Been saying it the whole time. They're overrated. Boston is very good at doing a couple of things. They're very good at team firing, which is underrated in Overwatch League. Very, very good at bursting things down. Number 2, they're very good at stalling and keeping things alive and juggling people on. Number 3, they're very good at just communicating in general. That is their strength. They have extremely good communication, and that shows because they're good at stalling, so it makes sense. Oh, I go in there, you go in there. They're good at juggling ultimates. They're good at engaging in team fights. They're good at not losing someone early because they communicate very well. But this gives them the edge over teams like the Gladiators. The Gladiators' biggest issue is communication. Communication is pretty much the most important thing in Overwatch. That's why the Boston Uprising are a horrible matchup for the Gladiators. And that's why their matchup ended so poorly for the Gladiators. Plus, they just didn't play well on that particular day. Plus, their strategies are terrible. I'll get into that a little more later. Boston is extremely good at communicating. A lot of teams in this league are not that good at communicating, and not nearly as good as we think they are. I honestly think Boston is at least even with the best communication of any teams. The problem for Boston, you know which team is at least tied with them for communication? New York Excelsior. And then when we go into mechanical skill at the game, it's not even close. New York blows them away. Blows them away. There was a reason why it was 3-0. And Boston only managed to tie on their best map. They went on Volskai and never lost on it. 10-0. Yeah, they barely managed to draw. If honestly, there was one point when when New York was attacking the second point, where Mono barely died before he got Primal Rage, so Arc had to sacrifice his life to get the res. If that doesn't happen, New York wins that map easily. So yeah, that was one thing that the stage playoffs. These are the takeaways from the stage playoffs for me. Number one, Gladiators have more issues than we thought they had. Their communication is really been an issue the last couple weeks at least. I thought it was getting better and better and better the last couple weeks of Stage 3 and these playoffs. Terrible. They cannot focus down a target. They have no good team fire. They just have no good team fire. Their tanks were so disconnected from the rest of the team, and Boston is a tank blowing up team. That's what they do. Striker farms. He farms tanks for his ultimates. That's another reason why I think he's extremely overrated. He doesn't do anything dangerous. He pops in, he shoots Winston, and he blinks out. That's what he does. And then he gets pulse bombs. He sticks the tanks or the supports. They blow up, and it opens up, and everyone screams, "Go Striker!" And they're look at all this damage that he's done. He doesn't have deaths. That's because he's not fighting the DPS who have the ability to kill him. It's because he's not fighting the supports who, if there's a good Zenyatta, which there's a lot of good Zenyatas in the league, can kill you. That's why Striker's stats are up there. He's not the best tracer in the league. Another false narrative. He never was. He never will be. Sabiolbe's on a different level than him. Prophet is better than him. This is why sometimes when you're watching Overwatch League, you gotta say, are they only saying this for like the publicity? Are they only saying this for the ratings? Stuff like that. Think about what I'm saying right now. I'm saying, especially in this stage, it was always going to be New York. It was always going to be New York. As soon as I saw that London was struggling, and I saw that the Dynasty were not going to really regain their form from before Overwatch League, as soon as that happened, I was like, New York, they won this. They won the stage. Boston barely beat them in the regular season. Good for them. Great. Doesn't matter to New York. They're 27-3. They drop a match per stage. They were never going to lose this. And anyone who legitimately thought so is delusional. Just delusional. I'm sorry. But think about what I'm saying right now. That's not nearly as fun as saying, "Oh man, look at all these teams that really have a chance." You think the Valiant had a chance? They were 5-0. Everyone was like, they were saying, "Oh, Valiant's looking like the strongest team this stage." Really? We saw how they ended the stage. They dropped, what, 4 of their last 5? And they were not close to New York. That was another takeaway. Valiant, very, very solid team, like I've always said. Solid. Good. They communicate very well. Mechanical skill it's good. They can hold their own against a lot of teams. They can beat all the weaker teams. They can perform on most maps. But when it comes to the big boys, they can't beat them. The Gladiators, they showed, the takeaway for the Gladiators is if they can fix their issues, they can compete. They have a higher ceiling than the Valiant. They have a higher ceiling than a lot of these teams. I think they have a higher ceiling than Boston does. But they don't have their communication down. And if they don't get their communication down, I don't think they make the Stage 4 playoffs. I don't think they make the overall playoffs. Last takeaway, like I said, I was talking about it earlier. New York is the best team in the league. Easily. This narrative about Boston is just so false. Their win streak, more than, I think they said about 62% of their games, it was like 8 or 9 of 14 of their wins, game 5s. They were very good at Oasis. They were very good at winning a last map. They got lucky in a couple of those to edge a team out. You want to know what I think their record's going to be in Stage 4? Probably 6-4, maybe 7-3. They're not going to beat New York again, unless New York is just phoning it in and trying some bizarre strategies. They're not going to. They're not going to beat them. I don't think they're going to beat the Spitfire again. And I think they're going to lose to at least one other team that's about their skill level, like Valiant, Fusion, Houston, LA, Seoul. They'll lose to 1 or 2 of those teams. They will not win every time again. So that's the takeaway from that. Don't get too excited over teams like this. Mistakes, Widowmaker, he just shoots tanks. You saw it. I was banging my head against the wall for the first map because the casters were like, "Oh, Mistakes is like way outperforming Surefour. He's winning the Widow duel because he has so much damage." Are you watching the game? He was shooting Bishu at all times. Surefour killed him basically every time in the Widow duel itself. That's what Boston does. They focus tanks, and for LA, their tanks, a lot of times Fissure goes in a bit too deep and he gets separated from his supports. A lot of times Bishu isn't really in the right place, and that translates to tanks getting picked off. On Temple of Anubis, they walked in, Fissure died, Bishu lost mech, they reset. That's literally what happened for 4 minutes. So that Boston is the worst matchup in the league for the Gladiators because of what Boston does, because of what LA does. I've been saying it for a while. Gladiators need a new coach. Deepay needs to be gone. Their strategies are weak. They're predictable. They don't ever change their comps. They were slow to change comps all day against Boston and in other matches. They need to, I don't know what they need to do with Asher because he's been horrible all of stage 3. In stage 2 he was really good. He was looking like one of the best tracers out there. In stage 3 he's fallen off a cliff. He went back to Korea and he came back, but I don't think he actually came back. I think they sent his little brother or something because he's been horrible. The Gladiators have not meshed yet. They still haven't done it. They've improved. They're a pretty good team, but they have not meshed. And I think that, honestly, they're the team in Overwatch League that still hasn't put it together fully. And obviously, Shanghai has not put it together fully. But they got half their team, like, 10 matches ago. So they don't really count because of all the wholesale changes that they made to their entire team. Dallas has not put it together. But Dallas, again, they've had a lot of players leave. XUC, gone. Taimu changed roles like 4 times. Siegel changed roles 7 times. Rascal, gone. Their head coach, gone. Coco, in and out of the lineup. They've had so much change. They've had so much friction. Effect, gone. Back in Korea. This is why they have not been able to gel, these two teams. Mayhem, maybe you can give a little, maybe you can put them in the same realm as the Gladiators. They introduced 2 new players essentially to their lineup, a new main tank and a new DPS. So they didn't make wholesale changes, but they did make a couple of very important changes. So maybe you could put them in with the Gladiators of teams that haven't really meshed together yet. But the Gladiators made one change to their team, essentially. I mean, I know they picked up Silk Thread before stage 3. He's barely played. They got Fissure obviously after stage 1, and that's improved their team dramatically. But they still haven't meshed together. I think especially Surefour and Fissure. Surefour is such a conservative Widow. He's such a safe Widow. There are a lot of times, depending on the map, where he just sits behind a wall for a lot of the time, and he'll occasionally shoot a shot out. And that's all well and dandy. That helps them win the Widow fight, but it doesn't help them win team fights. And Asher, he's got to have the worst DPS of any tracer. Like in stage 3 when he's played, he hasn't helped Fissure. In stage 2 when Fissure jumped in, Asher was pincering them on the other side. They were doing what Gesture and Prophet do for the Spitfire. They were doing what Gamzu and Striker do for the Uprising. They stopped doing it. Asher just stopped helping him. There's so many times when they show him and he misses most of the bolts in a clip. It's just been bizarre, and I don't know what the solution is. Hydration Surefour is okay, but Surefour's tracer just isn't up to par really either. And Hydration's Junkrat is most of the time good, but his Riptire usage is just pretty terrible. When they can run like Sombra, Tracer, they've been effective, but you can't do that every map. So they really have issues. Their coaching needs to figure it out. For the Valiant, I don't know. There isn't much to say. I think this team's pretty close to its ceiling. Soon has just been an underperformer for a while now. I think they need to pick up. Obviously, they can't now, but going into stage 2, depending on what they do with their roster, if they keep this mostly the same roster, they need to pick up a Widow. Soon just can't. He's just not. He doesn't pull his weight against teams. Surefour shut him down. Pine absolutely shut him down. Saya Player absolutely destroyed him on a couple maps when they played. He's a pretty solid Widowmaker, but he does not stand up to the best Widowmakers in the league. So that is their issue. I'd say that's their main issue for them. They just don't have that Widowmaker presence. And for Boston, it's kind of similar. Mistakes is pretty underwhelming as a player. He's got a good Genji. I think that's probably the best I can give him. Sombra's fine. This Widowmaker, he loses every duel. Like I said, he does what the team needs. They focus the tanks, and I honestly don't know why other teams. I think New York understood this, but a lot of other teams don't understand this. The Gladiators sure as hell didn't. A lot of the other teams that they beat sure as hell don't. They don't realize that their goal is to bust tanks, and then they get the supports, and then it's over. Which is it's a good strategy. It's a smart strategy. I just don't know why more teams haven't picked up on it. I mean, Excelsior did. Excelsior, if you don't love to watch the New York Excelsior, you don't love Overwatch. Just 100% straight up. They play such good Overwatch. I mean, not even going into Pine with his absolutely insane Widowmaker. Libero had insane Widowmaker clips. Sabioli had some really good standout Widowmaker clips. That's all in one hero, for 3 of them. Libero can just pretty much flex on everything and do very well on it. Sabioli is the best tracer in the league. Jonak is maybe the best player in the league. Obviously best Zenyatta. No one's even close. People were talking about like Neko being one of the right up there. Jonak easily outperformed him the entire match. Not that Neko's not good, because he is very good, but he's not on a level with Jonak. No other Zenyatta in the league is on a level with him. When teams die on Numbani, this was like a moment where I was just like, that feels so good to watch. On Numbani, New York is defending, right? They got their whole setup. They're on the high ground to the right of point. That's what most teams do. So here comes Boston. They do what most teams do. They jump. They jump into the back line. They send Striker back there. They send Gamsu in. They send Note with him. The supports are like a little bit behind. Mistakes was on Soldier, so he's trying to get high ground as well and get an angle to shoot down at them. They're all jumping on to the back line. New York, all of New York, they come back. They just shot right back to the supports. They caught the dive. They just snared it like a Venus flytrap. There it is. They light them up. Absolutely light them up. And Gamsu dies first. That's the thing you have to do when they jump in. Burn down the Winston, because a lot of times the Mercy's not following him in that aggressively because they don't want to die. Obviously, Zenyatta, if he has an orb on him, it can only do so much. And then you do have the D.Va behind eating some of the damage, but she can only eat for a little bit now. Just destroy him. Get the Discord on him. He's done. You blow him up. Then I believe in that fight he died, and then Kellix was the next to die because the Mercy's flying in trying to help her tanks. Then she can get caught in a vulnerable position. The D.Va's already used most if not all of her Matrix. Burn her down, and then it's over. They lost their main tank and their main healer. The fight's over. So the New York does that so well. Their tanks are so good at just peeling back and helping their supports. That it's just beautiful to watch. So yeah, I guess main takeaways from this: New York is on a level of its own. Stage 4 is going to be about whether any teams can get on their level. Because after the Uprising and New York series, everyone they were like, oh well, this proves that even though New York won, there's 2 teams up there. It's Boston and New York. That's false. I forget who said that. Maybe it was Bren at the analyst desk. That's false. It's New York. Whenever they decided to turn it on, Boston was done. They were donezo. It was 3-0, guys. They tied on their best map ever. They barely managed to tie on their best map ever, and they just lost all the other ones. It's not, no. Boston is not on their level. I'm sorry, but the narrative that they've tried to put forth to make Overwatch League seem more competitive is false. Do not fall for it. If there's any team that's going to catch them, it's going to be London if they can get their act together. If they can fully mesh as a team once again, then you got two teams on the same level. But anyway, I've gone on and on for a while. I'm just going to talk about the map pool for a little bit, and then I'll probably wrap it up. I really enjoyed talking about this, though. I really enjoy going into it. I hope you guys do too. So for the hybrid maps, Blizzard World is going to be back again. I'm okay with that. I know a lot of people don't like the map, but I'm okay with that. And then this one I love, King's Row. King's Row is back. Finally, we get some Zarya, we get some Reinhardt, we get some different comps. It's going to be great. We'll see how they incorporate Brigida into that. But yeah, super excited for that map. For Assault, your 2 CP, going back to Hanamura. That's kind of a bummer. And Horizon Lunar Colony. I'm cool with Horizon Lunar Colony. Hanamura, not a fan of. I'm not a fan of playing on it. I'm not a fan of watching it. I'm not a fan of the map design. I'm not a fan of anything about that map. But yeah, I'm cool with Horizon Lunar Colony. We see some different looks there. See if they bring back some more triple/quad tank in stage 4. And then for Control, Oasis. I feel like I've seen so much Oasis because there were so many game 5s this stage. So I guess it's an okay map. And then the other one I'm super excited for, Lijiang Tower. I love Lijiang. Again, different maps can have some really cool comps. I like how my team plays on Lijiang. I like watching pretty much all the teams play on Lijiang though, because that one's a great one. King's Row and Lijiang are just so good. Then for Escort, we got Dorado, which I'm cool with. We haven't seen that in a while. Yeah, that's totally fine. And then Watchpoint Gibraltar. Not a huge fan of Watchpoint. Just a lot of stall. A lot of stall at the car wash. A lot of stall in the hangar and stall. Well, if teams can get through the hangar and get to the third point, then you generally see pretty fast times. But that one's okay. I don't hate it. I certainly don't love it though. So overall, I think this is a very good map pool. I don't know what the tiebreaker will be. I assume it'll be not Ilios, because Ilios was just in rotation. I don't know though. Because, yeah, I assume tiebreaker will be on Nepal. At least I hope it's on Nepal. I kind of hate Ilios. Ilios is a map that I like less and less every time I see it, every time I play on it. I really liked it at first, but I don't know. I think I just got sick of it. So yeah, let's see if I can... yeah, no surprise there. Rialto will not make its debut until Season 2 of Overwatch League. No surprise there. It just got released. It's not even available in comp yet, so no surprise there. Like I said before, Brigida's in. Sombra's nerfs are in, so maybe you'll see a little less Sombra. I don't know. The nerfs weren't that bad, so maybe we'll see about the same amount of Sombra, but don't be surprised if we see a bit less. Maybe a little bit of a resurgence in Genji, but if people are playing Brigida, then people are probably not going to be playing Genji. Playing Genji into Brigida is not very fun. So yeah, we'll see. I'm super excited to see what happens in Stage 4. We'll see which teams step up to the plate, which teams have the best Brigida players, see if Brigida is played at all, or if she's played a lot. Obviously, people have been complaining about her on the ladder, but we'll see how that translates to Overwatch League. So thank you very much for watching. I really like this video. I think I did a good job of hitting a lot of points and explaining why I think so. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you disagree. Let me know if you just think I'm a giant Boston hater, which I kind of am. But say, oh man, they beat your team like 3 times, so you're just mad and you're just hating on them. Let me know. Let me know what you think. If you do disagree, explain why though. Don't just say, oh, you're wrong, you're stupid. Explain why I'm stupid. Yeah. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you have a lovely week. And I'll see you for Stage 4. got a week off, and then we're going into stage 4, the final stage of Overwatch League. So I'll see you then.